Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about programming languages. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, should one focus on programming techniques, problem solving and analytical skills and not on learning as many languages as they can? Yes, I would say so, but I think that you're overthinking it a little bit. Let me explain. So I've said on a few occasions that learning many programming languages is in of itself not the world's most important thing. It has a benefit. It's similar to, as I like to say, traveling, where if you do a lot of traveling and see a lot of different things, you are going to get a bigger holistic perspective. Similar sorts of things is when you practice with many different programming languages, you're going to learn how different languages approach certain problems. And it's going to give you a good sixth sense for sort of the range of ways someone solves something. It matures your way of thinking, but it's not going to necessarily make you a better programmer or someone who's like extra good or things like that. It's not going to correlate directly to skills, I would say. But then on the other hand, when you're asking about, programming techniques, like I'm assuming you're talking about, fundamentals or design patterns or something like that, and like problem solving. I mean, when is a programmer not problem solving? I mean, even a Hello World application is a problem solving process. Analytical skills, how do you test that? How do you practice analytical skills? Please tell me, are you gonna sit and read riddles, or are you gonna read statistics? What are you gonna do? Are you doing puzzles? So the thing that a lot of, I don't know why, I get it, but at the same time it sort of comes back over and over, that you have software developers who for some reason don't feel as if writing software, programming, making applications, building things that solve things, that's not enough. I have to do all this other stuff as well to get good at programming. And I keep telling people, no, you do not. Because it will take you years and years and years and years to just get the programming thing done in one language. I promise you. By the time that you have learned many languages, quote unquote, I can promise you that you will have spent years in the industry. Because you're not going to, like, learn some magical programming technique or study quote unquote problem solving and analytical skills and then actually be better at the thing that you are paid to do, or the thing that actually makes you a software developer, which is solving programming problems using a programming language. And all the things that you just talked about, programming techniques, problem solving, analytical skills, all of that stuff you will train by just programming, by just making stuff. I guarantee you. And it doesn't matter if you know 100 languages or you know one language, because if you suck at all the languages, which is, depending on how you go about it, because there are some people who really just learn the syntax or like the basics of the basics, and then they're done, right? That's not going to make you a better software developer. The thing that you should focus on is, in my opinion, how do you ship everything? How do you make applications? Let's say that you're doing web, right? When you first start out, odds are that you're just going to try to figure out how one piece of the entire thing works. It's sort of like, think of it as being a mechanical engineer, or like something like where you're building a car. An example would be, when you first start out, you might start on the assembly line and just learn how to fit a tire to the car, right? But by the end of it, if you really want to master making cars, then you will probably know, well, it used to be the case, it's a little bit more difficult today, but then you would probably know how to put together all the components that make up a car. It's just that you start at this tiny little thing, like one part of the thing, and then you work and work and work until you understand all the things, until you can build an entire car yourself if you wanted to. And for us software developers, the same sort of mindset is the most healthy thing that you can have. That is what makes you a full stack developer, incidentally, where if you really want to understand how to be like a really good programmer, and I actually want to be not just someone who can handle one part of something, but really bring the gigantic behemoth value that our industry brings to the world, you can't just then you should focus on learning how to deliver the value. And as I tell the front-end developers, the value is not CSS or like your little front-end application, unless you have that use case. I tell the back-end developers the same thing. Your API or your amazing microservices architecture that you're using has no value to anybody. It's the end result. It is the thing that is that your code is doing that is important. And for a lot of cases, it is better for you to master the flow. In other words, everything from code when it goes from your laptop out into production, and then making sure that that system works if we're talking web. That is the value. The value is only when the system is fully functioning, or well, functioning in accordance with expectations of whoever made the request for you to build something. And so building a lot of different types of applications, building a lot of different programs and tools and things like that, that's the thing that's going to make you a really great software developer, because it is the thing that brings value. If you think about the master programmers, or like the people who get rich in IT and so forth, they're not being celebrated necessarily because their coding skill is so great. They get celebrated because the products that they have created changed the world or has a very significant impact. Nobody, I mean, take Bill Gates. Does anybody even think of Bill Gates as a programmer? Probably not. He's just a guy who is like really rich and has that company Microsoft, right? Same deal with most of the most of the world. Like your value as a software developer comes from what you make, not how you make it. And by just trying to make things, the how you do it will improve. I promise you. So focus on, as my old coach used to say, if you want to be good at running, run. You want to be good at swimming, swim. Don't like go and play bull, or like you start exercising with the pogo stick or something else that is sort of relevant but isn't actually the thing that you want to master. So what I want you to take away from this is that I agree to a point, like learning a lot of programming languages doesn't really make you necessarily better. It's better, I mean, it's great if you want to learn programming languages. It's going to give you something, I promise you that much. And if you find it just interesting, go for it. There's nothing wrong with learning multiple languages, but since this person seems to be more interested in maximizing their gains in terms of developing themselves as a software developer, then I strongly suggest that your focus is always the 80-20 rule. So 20% learning all these sort of like extra languages or things like that, but focus on making things. Focus on building applications and learning the tools around application development. So if you learn CSS, or HTML, then learn CSS, then learn JavaScript, then learn how the server works, then learn how Docker works, then learn how to deploy things to like a cloud solution, then learn how logging works, and like the metrics and DNS and like networking and security, and like, do you have any idea how big IT is, guys? You can spend the rest of your life trying to learn all the things. And so that's why I tell people, just focus on delivering results, because just learning that part is number one going to make you very employable, very attractive on the job market, if nothing else is important. Number two, it's going to give you all the things that you talked about, because programming techniques, problem solving, analytics skills, all of this stuff, that's sort of baked into your job. It's part of what you do. I promise you, you're going to discover so much stuff by just making stuff. And number three, it's actually going to be something that is going to take you from just knowing a little piece of the thing of the process of developing, all the way up, depending on how far you go, to basically knowing everything about software, and your perspective is going to mature a lot if you just focus on the process of taking code from your laptop, doing all the things to get it into production, and then maintaining a working system for your end users, etc., etc. Build things. I promise you it's the best way to learn. Have a great day.